each other. We have finally entered best of threes demo. Yay! Woo! Wow! I want a little bit more excitement.
We need Troy.
Best of threes, right? I mean, you know, best of threes about it. We've.
Of
Don't get me wrong,
of course. And
yeah, best of ones are one thing, but best of threes.
Obviously, the desk has kind of had a little chat about map selection here inside of best of three. The big thing that I want to get across to everyone is you will start to see teams get exposed, okay? Because we are in a system where you just can't go and ban 4 maps right away that you don't want to play. You now are in a situation where you can only ban 2 before a map gets picked, okay? So kind of half of the safety net is gone for a lot of the teams. And already for BDS, it's very obvious what's happened to them. BDS have shown us this stage, Emmy, that Cafe and Border are their permabans, yeah? That's what they will ban in every single banning phase if open to them. And now we're in a situation where you go into the best of threes, they have to ban those 2 maps, and then they're going to have to go to a map which maybe they don't want to go to. And for in the case of this game, it's going to be map number 2 that I'm going to be looking towards, because obviously that's going to be Clubhouse. This is a map that Gen.G absolutely love. It's one of their best maps that they can play, even though they did lose a VP, but we'll touch upon that. I'll give my thoughts on why that maybe didn't work out for them last week. But certainly, for Clubhouse, for BDS, they got absolutely slammed on this map against Gen.G right back in the first play day. So there is going to be that little bit of a thing knowing last time we were here against them, things not turned out too well for us. So this is where you start to see teams have to go out of their comfort zone now.
It's also, you know, there's obviously the comparison of like, hey, that was play day 1. Maybe they'd have some time to grow into it. It wasn't the only time BDS this split got 1-7 or 7-1 on that map. Secret also did the same to them.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's just, if it's there, they're almost looking at this like this first.
They need to win this map.
They need to win this map.
Yeah.
Gen.G are in a best of 3, BDS are in a best of 1 right now, and then they have a 40-minute break, and then they have another best of 1. Hey, it all starts here, and it starts with BDS on their approach. Now, in terms of layer, obviously, this is a little bit more of a back and forth. We've seen sort of wins and losses from both these 2 teams over the past period. Wolves have been that sort of decider where Wolves could beat Gen.G on it.
Layer. Yeah.
Couldn't beat BDS on it. So there's that narrow sort of margin where maybe whatever the game that they played against each other there has been learnt and put together. In terms of the bans, the Grim and the Ying, they're just trying to limit how snappy BDS can be, right, Demo?
Yeah, I mean, it does leave yourself open, though, to maybe shields being brought in. We know Blackbeard, Monty are fantastic, especially for this top floor, being able to push in towards the storage side of things and then just walking into the bomb site and going for a blind spot plant. So for BDS, I mean, they're not going for that option. Instead, they've went a big smoke oriented into the Glass with a Capitao, and the Glass now opens up with a kill. I mean, before that, we've seen a double kill come in from Lasmal, and P4 just steadily going for it. And now Nako has 4 players. This has got to be a nice clutch here, Emmy.
Yeah, it was a very sudden swing there, right? I sort of handed that bit of analysis to you based on the bans of maybe they're just trying to limit how... Oh, no. The Habana has gone in and gotten a double kill almost immediately.
Don't know where that was from, though, which is the only thing. But
saw an opportunity. Just appeared, got 2, got dropped, fine. But at that point, they've swung that door wide open, and then that allows the other to sort of move in. You looked at the lineup as well. It was what? Double Hard Breach, Capitao, Deimos, and Glaz. You're not thinking they're doing this specifically to get a rush in, but it just gave them a direct route there. You can see Glaz saw opportunity, and that's what this game has to be, right? Even if you might not have the right tools for the job, sometimes you get an opportunity to complete it.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, if you're going to be restricted for that top floor without the Ying or the Grim, because we know they're fantastic operators for specifically controlling the art window, that's where we would usually see those operators be utilized over towards Bathroom 2. I think that's maybe a case of Gen.G maybe just needed like more trap operators there, because I mean, if Habana's just been able to find a gap and find 2 kills, I mean, that's kind of like an EFAC play, isn't it? You know, EFAC will just appear with 2 kills in the round. You think, oh well, that's it, done and dusted. And obviously credit Lasman, who I'm a massive fan of, by the way. I think he is a fantastic player. I think his mechanics also is incredible. I think You talk about young players coming into the scene. I think Lasmau has fit it in really, really well. I think he's very consistent too. You're always going to know what you're going to get out of him. So Lasmau, really good opportunity spotting, opens up the round with a 2-piece, and then for BDS, it's just using that numbers advantage.
At this point, very early doors in what is going to be a long showdown, and sort of highlighted towards one of the sets of bans, the other, the Kaid and the mute limitations. They're trying to just make the game a bit more open. You'll expect all of the stress to come from the hard breach to be as unopposed as possible. They just want to make sure that there's direct reach through to the fight, and the Deimos helps that pretty handily. That big revolver just cutting swathes of the soft out, but toe-to-toe with a mirror window, that arced and bounced off the door, forced the play around. That was really nice. Little attempt on a sort of self-driven catch there, but as it pushed them off the mirror window for good, there's some support. There's a graphic showing these two players on a previous roster of Once Upon a Time of Wolves, and now they're going to see if they can try and hold out as, well, Once Upon a Time of Falcon is going to opt to push back. The grenade around the corner, the perfect catch. Deadshot is gone. Freck gets the opener the second. Oh, they're slow and steady. They've cleared the room, and they almost got a second catch there. Robbie just driving and pressuring Gen.G back to the site.
Yeah, they've had the drop off. I mean, they have wasted half the round, but I still think for BDS, the fact that they haven't lost anyone, well, I say that, they have just lost the round, so again, why do I speak sometimes? But again, still not bad though for BDS. You know, a minute left, you've got the verticals still available because you've obviously brought in a secondary soft breacher, that being your sledge. But for Gen.G, you look at their denial. They've still got smoke on board with all of the canister villages. I think just used one, so he has. But still, I think for Gen.G, it's just now sitting, playing your crossfires, playing your angles, and oh dear, you've lost the soft destruction. Both of them gone now. Brack has been picked off by Nako.
At this point, it's going to make, when you go for that sort of landing, quite rocky. Just trying to find a small aspect to get in. P4 does get Adox. Levels things up after the couple of blows that have gone back. But as you sort of pointed out, no soft. It's going to be more of a drive round. Another close swing, this time against the shotgun. The flash round one side and the rotate round the other again. Great little pockets of movement. Great little pushes and pulls with utility. Leaving just Asa alone. The C4 doesn't even kill Robbie. Thought that looked dead on. Must have just got away in time. That's 2 in a row for BDS.
Yeah, I'm liking what I'm seeing from BDS. This is a very brave BDS team, which I think a lot of the games that they've had over the past number of weeks, they've looked so timid. Like, they've looked really scared to go in and play the season that they want to. And right now for BDS, whenever they're going for it, they all go for it. If you look at that round, in that 3 versus 3 scenario, okay, you know that one guy was just upstairs because he had killed Freck, who was on the verts. And then you had, I think, P4 came in on a backstab, as what he always does. That's what he's known for. So he's able to get the backstab off. He creates a bit of space. He knows Robbie's also pushing in through the locker sides off the map too. And then you just go full send down the hatch and you're trying to take that numbers advantage. You know, one guy's offside, take the 3 on 2. I mean, Lasmau, brilliant bit of play there, using the flashbang, knows exactly where to look, knows where the guy is, gets that kill, opens up the bomb site. Yeah, loving it right now from BDS. They're reacting really well to what Gen.G's putting in front of them.
5 seconds left.
So at this point, BDS, how much pressure can they keep applying? How much can they keep driving this? As we sort of said, that middle point, that middle game is going to be that awkward dip. It's the second movie in a trilogy that IMDb's given 4 stars, and everybody sort of glosses over and says you can skip that one, it's not very good. But at this point, if the cast keeps putting in performances like this, well, maybe they get something a little bit more surprising, and at this point, maybe the cast of Gen.G looks a little bit downtrodden and not quite as sharp on their lines and marks. There's pressure across ops as they get that first taste of anybody that might be trying to swing out. I'm curious to see if Gen.G try and hold on or what BDS is sniffing. They've been doing really good little pinches on these play positions, really good little pulls apart of those slightly further out players, and there as the Habana pellets come round and Robbie's there on the cover to make sure nobody else can get this. They're actually just going to leave the breach onto towards the site comes together as well. Everything there by BDS, by the book.
Well, they have been able to make a hole in the breach, not a full breach that you can walk through. And it was at least able to do that and just get the one part. Actually, I think it might have been impact crit by Nako actually on the Ela. I think that's actually how it was destroyed. Obviously for Gen.G though, it's still going to be an issue. There could still be an opportunity where somebody could be sat on the breach and could kill you from an angle that you're maybe not expecting. So for BDS, as long as that's open to kind of use it as a deterrent, then yeah, they've done their job and just get that breach open in some capacity. Now, the real issue, as you know, Amy, is going to be fighting your way in through Mez, and teams will fire a lot of util. You think about the smoke already using toxic canisters to try and give himself a bit of safety here. I'm sure there's going to be C4s flying around too. That's always going to be something that we always look at is, can you net any kills with the C4s? That could be from just over the top of Mez, in through doorways, below as well is always a threat that we know. A lot of teams who attack this bomb site, they will play a man downstairs just to stop that from happening. So, still things that BDS need to be worried about, but with a minute left, I mean, I'm not seeing any real headway, so it needs to happen pretty quick.
Oh, well, there's a head, and it's made way for the bullets that came towards it. Nako. It's the first there, and with 40 seconds, oh, they've been pushed further and further back. They lose that entry, they lose the Capitao, and they lose Freck, who's been able to get off to a 1-for-1 start. I'm sure he'll take some joy in that, but as another one falls, and Robbie, who hasn't been able to get a connection at all, we're missing that early round, and now we're missing most of the roster. Just P4 left, not for long. Does get one, but it may as well have been a flawless.
Well, Gen.G looking pretty unbothered, I would say, in that defense. Didn't have to do anything crazy, nothing too overcomplicated. I mean, that was strange from BDS, especially jumping in through bathroom window. With a minute left, obviously Mez control is a necessity, and the way that teams will take Mez is they will fire in a massive amount of util, right? I didn't really see that. I seen a Capitao flame off a doorway so we could jump in a window. Those Capitao bolts were not used as an incentive to get kills, which is strange because we always see somebody on those Mez stairs. That's always going to be a position that defenders will play. How many times, Emma, have we seen that player sat in the staircase and in goes the flames, the bees, the nades, every bit of util an attacker can have goes into that one player. And I just didn't see that from BDS. You didn't even have anyone pushing up the staircase. I mean, we've seen Deimos with shotguns be brought for that very specific reason because it's so difficult to clear out a person on that staircase. So I just think for BDS, if you're going to go for the Mez across, you need to take it. You just can't hope that maybe you'll swing. Hey, that's not the way Gen.G are going to play.
They get there first, though. And as the further bans come together, Deimos is the removal. Think about how well Deimos has been utilized here on the approach by BDS. Sure, it might not be getting the kills, but the way it's able to net this pressure on towards Gen.G's hold, especially on this site.
5 seconds left before
the sort of masterful display of, oh, I'm coming for you, run, run, run.
Attackers are heading out to defuse
Gen.G aren't going to play that game, and it might give them a bit more confidence to explore the map a bit deeper, a bit further, and a bit more with their wings spread and enjoying a bit more of a free breeze. Yes, in the meantime, no more mirror to contend with, so some of these positions will get a bit shorter and sharper, but not as unusual. The Blitz. First time we're getting a shield in this best of 3 series. I am sure it is far from the last. We'll see if Lasmo can use it to try and break the divide. Remember, they were close on the first and the third catch. They got the second body in the middle, but having a Blitz and having the confidence to run behind it might give us a little bit more of that round 1 energy as BDS start to go for the clear across the top and prepare for the catch on anyone in the middle.
Yeah, you have got a lone roamer all the way in towards that top floor, that being dead shot right now on that Valkyrie. I wonder if they know that somebody is all the way at the very top. You would hope so. The way the BDS, I mean, especially P4 moving in from the top floor, you would hope so. But, I mean, maybe it's just a case of, yes, they know it's there, but they're going to try and ignore him. But, oh dear, Freck. As the opening death goes down to Nako, and yeah, there's the smoke canister being used to separate the Blitz away from his teammate, and oh, the Blitz, yeah, gets caught out. I mean, great utilization there of the smoke grenade, Emmy, being able to cut off the Blitz, and what is going on? This is absolute chaos of a round. I mean, Sky just killed his teammate with his smoke, but I still think for BDS, this is just not working. And Percy's just going to full send it into sight. Hello!
Goodbye. Yeah, I mean... Great response from Gen.G. Obviously, the full send into sight, we saw a little taste of that when we were casting yesterday in a round where we've questioned some of the motives and movements, but happening that late in is a bit of a sort of hope throw. And when everybody else is dead, you've pulled a bit of the plan apart. They have a minute time to work with, but they're coming from a very obvious angle. You've got two either side on the doors, baiting the fire extinguisher and the utility. But look at the player above as well. They'd entirely encircled that position from a 2-0 to a tie-up demo.
Yeah, Gen.G starting to groove. I think Gen.G have certainly been a team this season where they have, you know, handed out some pretty big sweeps. You know, they've done it against BDS all the way back at that first play day. And, you know, Gen.G, I think, whenever they're in the groove, they're a very difficult team to stop. And I mean, Gen.G, I think, have been the big surprise this stage from where they were last stage, where they started off in stage 1 extremely slow. We were worried about them. Yes, they picked up towards the end. They were able to just about get themselves into top 6. But this stage has been so much more convincing. I think the wins that they've had have been great. It's weird because I even think about that last play day that they had against VP. You know, that was again we thought Gen.G were going to come in and win. VP obviously having the issues that they've had this stage, but you know, I think just getting caught blindsided maybe by VP in that final play day, which because of that, they didn't make the top 3. They only sat at 4th whenever we kind of thought that, yeah, they would get 3rd place this stage. But not the case. It's going to be 4th. But still, for Gen.G, look, I think the way that they're adapting very well to BDS, I think they are taking the fight to them. I think the past 2 rounds, BDS have kind of had the run of kills. But no, Gen.G saying, you know what, let's start to wake up here. Let's get ourselves stuck in. And yeah, we have a good game on our hands too.
And a tech pause puts a little bit of a break in them. A little bit of an oasis. It's a long series. It's a long potential series as well. And I know that we're going to sort of harp on about the intensity of the first map and how it might be settled quite quickly on the second. There's always that reverse pressure, right? Surely there's lessons learned. Surely there's a reason you would go back to a map, and surely you've developed a game for it. 2 7-1 losses. There's got to be something learned in that school of hard knocks.
I don't know, though. I just think as BDS, they have 2 permabans. I think that's the issue with BDS at the moment, is just the map pool. Just maybe it isn't there right now for them. You know, we've seen plenty of teams all around the world, especially new teams. Don't forget, this team's not even a year old yet. You know, that's where we are, and I'm sure we'll probably see the same with a team like Wolves, who, again, not even a year old. It'll probably have similar issues whenever we see their map ban phase against Secret. This is the way it will go with these new teams being formed. It's going to be the map pool. That's what you need to try and develop, and best of threes. This is where you get exposed. That's why teams such as G2, Secret, Falcons, teams who have been around for a very long time, Emmy, that's why they always make the events, because they just have the longevity to work on all of their maps.
Well, map pool always, I guess, rears its head at this point, but you expect it, right? You expect to get to this point. It's, you know, you can have your strengths and you can have your weaknesses as a team, but it doesn't mean you're not going to get onto those street circuits. It doesn't mean you're not going to get into the different sort of facets of play. You've got to be ready for this sort of engagement. And if you're lucky enough to be able to run a 3-map sort of pool throughout the split, then during that time, what are you focused on working on? Well, where you might be going is that extra swing. What comes together as a sort of neutral ground? BDS. Tempting. A little bit more of a sneaky backstab. We've seen them drive their way in, but a Banshee will scream louder than anything. They try and sneak into the I mean, Flores just opens the door there, but there's one. There's the first take, not a second. But that is a hole right in the middle of the defense demo. Nako suffers next, but Deadshot's able to win out against P4, and positionally, that's a big bit of a blow there. We've got a tentative hold on towards green, but it sort of stemmed the bleeding a bit here, demo.
Yeah, again, I like the attempt there from BDS. It's to take control of green stairs very early on. This is usually a position that we see teams fight tooth and nail for, have to use a lot of util. BDS have had to use very little util because they've just been able to kill the guy point blank. The only thing that I worry about BDS in this lineup is how are they going to get in to go for a plant? I mean, all they've got is like the Capitao smokes to cover off the vision for the players upstairs. You know, this bomb site, we have seen it so often. It's how well you can deal with cutting off the eyes for the defenders. Everyone will sit upstairs, they'll use the verts. And I think without an operator like the Sense, which we see as the kind of go-to, the main staple operator the attackers utilize, I mean, BDS, do they have to try and play for kills? Do they actually have to try and go above? I just don't think you can afford to do that. They're going to run into some real problems here, Amy.
It's the thing that I have said about this site so often, and I hate that it keeps rearing its head. They could just nuke their way in towards the back of the site, apparently is an attempt at digging their way up. But teams just trying to send it in without the vertical control, without the vertical pressure, it just, for me, always leaves too much up to chance. And now, as you said, like, the standard of approach is usually with something to cover it, a Sense. There's a swing and a pre-fire round close. They're trying to retake green stairs on the back as well at the same time. They've dropped back into the site. 15 seconds, why not? Because you can just play it like this. They haven't been caught, they haven't been captured, and they haven't been surrounded well enough. Nako's around this position still, but all they had to do, Demo, was go from one room to another. There's 2 quick kills into their favor, and Robbie, doesn't matter if you're really in the site getting one, just not enough of a cemented approach there.
Yeah, I think for that bomb site, we've seen teams try various different ways to win that bomb site. And the kill approach just isn't one that works. You have to try and, I don't want to say cheese it, because there is method behind it, but
oh yeah.
Whenever I say cheese it, Emmy, you know, just dump as much util as you can and just hope that the flank goes down. That's usually how we see that bomb site won by the attackers, yeah? And like I mentioned before, Sense as that operator, that is the go-to. I looked at the lineup. The only real bits of util that they had was from the Capitao. And the only way that would have been done is using the Capitao to smoke the verticals. That's it. That's all it was. But even then, I don't think that would have mattered. They have a Solus. You know, even Gen.G, they've doubled down on the fact that even if they try and, you know, smoke plant inside that bomb site, we'll still see it because we have a Solus on board. An operator that we very rarely see since she got hit with massive nerfs, you know, last year. Or was it the year before? A long time ago. But still.
I think it was last. It's got to be last year. If it's the year before last year, I am gonna scream.
5 seconds
I don't know the definite, so I'll leave it at the subject of someone who can let us know. Please let us know. But yeah, Solus still, whenever it comes to seeing somebody plant a diffuser, still does that job. You know, most of the reasons why people brought Solus, you know, pre-nerf was use it in prep phase, you go and hunt all the drones. You know, that was as clear and crystal as what she was able to do, and then still was able to, you know, run around, see, blitz, a nuke and a scanner, stop the plant. There's still the stuff that she can still do. It's just that big nerf where you can't use it in prep phase that hunts down the drones.
I mean, there's the old quote since, well, Fabian was a player, as Deadshot is no longer a player in this round, where he says if you lose one drone in the prep phase, you've lost the prep phase. You need to get them in towards the positions and need to get them towards the catch of around the rest of the map. P4 almost joins Deadshot in the sitting out corner in the ice box, which again, you would lose your Capitao quite early. You'd lose a lot of that support utility. Talking about drones rolling in, there's also the bits of pressure, and they get themselves once again an eye in ops. A little bit quicker than they did last time, but I'm not sure if they've gone and got the extra pressure towards the breach on the wall yet. Sounds like something just exploded in the distance, so I'm going to assume that was late fire pellets. At this point, though, with one body as an advantage, they have to make sure that the next engagement is one that they can take where they can operate on trades. In fact, no, we've just seen there the wall fully bounces up and fully still standing. Wants to take this fight on the top of green, sends the flash towards the other side and puts an air jab down in and amongst the smoke. Skies almost suffers next. And that would be a big loss towards them, especially with how the plants come together. The C4 does a lot of damage to Freck, but Robbie does even more on towards Azox. They now have a 2-body advantage, but Freck and Skies both a breath away from the afterlife. Have to try and cling on for the rest of this. A minute. Time to get that important utility out, get yourself droned, and look for a place to land, Demo.
I like the approach here from BDS. Use that man advantage. Hit them hard, hit them fast. They've taken great control now of the storage side. Like you mentioned, they have those extra 2 men now, so they can utilize areas such as that art window. I mean, Gen.G just have to try and pull off some absolute insane kills, but as long as BDS can trade the back, that's all that matters. Trade game is a must here for BDS.
At this point, wow. Robbie on a triple for the round. P4's finally gone down, but can't get cemented and almost overstayed their welcome a little bit there, Asta in the fire. But as Lasmo gets one, there's at least the response. No flawless, but a 4K for Robbie.
Yeah, good job, BDS. Again, just playing really high energy, really high tempo. You get that opening pick. There was no response there from Gen.G. And you can see the way that they were lined up. You know, they were doubling up with each other. They were willing to take the trades. That bomb site is massive. Like, really, I mean, the whole map is massive, right? But for that bomb site as well, the defenders are trying to hold down at least, 80% of that entire top floor? It's very rare that you will see defenders being able to double up and go for double swings to get kills back, because they have to be so spread out to watch so many different ways into that top floor. And that's what the attackers have at their advantage. But 9 times out of 10, the engagements you go into on this top floor, it will be one-on-ones. Yeah, you're not going to be able to go up against 2 defenders. You look at the positioning here for Mazox. Nobody's with him. He's by himself. Asa again, look, by himself. Look how far away Nako is to Ella, to his teammate. And that's where BDS, with that extra man, you just overwhelm your opponents.
At this point, worth sort of looking at how this map balances in terms of the whole league. We'll have a little bit longer by the rehost. Lair finds itself the 3rd most defensive map at around 60%, just shy, 59. And it gives itself also, I think, it is the most played map throughout the entire split as well. It's sort of become a bit of a new home for EML based on, I guess, the flavor of the meta right now, the reading on the wins demo, and where teams seem to like themselves as a best of 1 meeting ground. But there's always that asterisk in it, right? Is the best of 1 meeting ground very different often to a best of 3 preference, especially for teams with deeper map pools?
Yeah, I think Lair is just, it's went down the same line as kind of what Labs was, wasn't it? You know, Labs was introduced, took them a while to get Labs into the circuit, but then it kind of clicked, and I think we're now at a stage with Lair where things have clicked. We know what the meta is, we know how these rounds are supposed to be played out, and I think that's why teams are favoring it, because again, it's on the surface, it is a very easy map. You know, it's a lot of util dump, which is again very similar to maps like Clubhouse and Labs. You know, and even Bank. I think Clubhouse, Labs, Lair, Bank, those 4 maps all play very, very similar. Focused around hard breach, focused around util dumps. You're usually up against a really difficult basement bomb site that you're gonna have to try and go up against at some point. So yeah, I think that's why teams have orientated to it. So yeah, Lair, good map. It's been shown across not just our region, but in the world. You know, every region is taking it up the mantle. Every region is playing it. So I'm just looking forward to seeing it again in international competitions. You know what? Going into the major, seeing NA versus EU layers, I think that'll be fantastic.
You know what? I still have rants about the Bunks briefing site, though. I don't know what... Okay. So, statistically for EML, I'm going to assume this stat continues around the rest of the world, but I could be wrong. But I haven't cast NAL, or we haven't cast NAL. So maybe they play it differently there. We haven't cast OS. Maybe they play it differently there. I think we've cast every other region. This split, you and I and you. It's the most defender-sided site, 66%. It's the 3rd preference, but it's not that far behind lab and lab support. It's sort of, you have top floor, which is about 5 or 6 appearances clear, and then the other 2 are within touching distance of each other. And systematically seeming, teams are trying to make it work, and you know, people are always going to work stuff out, but entirely ignoring the verticality, which I don't really get, Demo. I'm not saying you have to full send it up there. I'm not saying you have to full take it. I would love to hear our analysts break it down, because me just play by play. But it's like, look at that most recent case in point. You're talking about the sense, great. But there was no pressure on anything else in the verticality that we could see. There was nobody sort of trying
I think it comes down to the sheer size of the map. I think that's probably why. Realistically, I don't think you have enough time, util, and man count to, first of all, clear a full top floor hold with usually either 3 or 4 defenders, right? Because already we see teams, you know, they take their time even attacking the top floor, right? But don't forget that's not the bomb site. Then you still have to work into the mid floor.
Sure. But
So I think being able to take one part of the map and just trying to push through, and like I said, cheese your way with covering off vision. That's the best way we've seen it be used.
But then where do you go? Because what I'm sort of insinuating, again, I'm not saying like the teams need to go for the full clear, but having a player on, say, display window that can sort of maybe cut off some of that vertical control. Think about how you would, say, take on labs. If you want to plant in the sort of storage area, you can control it from IT on the mid floor, and you can be worried about someone C4ing underneath, but you still need to get IT. You can't just hope. And I don't know, a single body there, someone maybe putting pressure top green, so there's a chance at a swing round. There's just none of that, it felt like, in their attempted take on it. I'm not going to get like Dez into Chanka about this, but he's on holiday. I can't ruin that for him.
Well, I think it would be good to get a third opinion. And I know that there's somebody joining us tomorrow, so maybe that could be the third opinion.
Yeah, but it's Tim. Not that I don't love Tim.
What do you mean it's just Tim? What's that supposed to mean?
All right.
Tim,
okay.
if you're listening, I apologize on
Tim,
behalf of
I love you.
Located by
I love
attackers.
you so much.
Liar.
Demo, just come to his side over here with me for a second. Come to his side. If
No,
you wanted to
Tim,
know
I'm-
how to properly take a site, who do you go to first?
What do you mean?
If you want,
As in,
10 seconds
if
to
you
go.
want to know how to at a professional level
yeah,
5 seconds
clear a
left.
site,
yeah.
who's your man?
Can I name drop?
Attackers are moving to defuse the bomb.
You're gonna know anyway. I'm not gonna stop you.
Kangaroo.
All right. Ask him then. Ask him.
Do I want easy advice this stage? I'm not sure.
Wow. He loves it now. Anyway, we're back here. Thank you for bearing with us. Lair Bands, which we can talk about now after an even opening half. Monty and Grim, and the double electrics demo. So this breach shouldn't be too complicated, as long as they're paying attention to somebody that might swing behind them.
Oh, got away for that. No problems. Wall opened up. Good start for Gen.G. I mean, it should have been relatively easy. BDS are going to be very restricted what they can do, of course, with the bans, Arcade, and a Bandit. I mean, you still could have been brought up. They'd impact EMPs just in case they were there anyway. But for BDS, because, again, being restricted without the electrification, it does open up some possibilities if you don't have strong operators like, you know, the Mira, for example, which I believe was banned away at some point for Gen.G and their defense. So again, Mira can sometimes come into play in towards that top floor. Great for holding up. So we've seen work out pretty well for teams, but BDS not opting for it. They've went, say, a little bit heavy in the trap department. You've got Defender and also the Ella. Ella's there, I think, just in case maybe a Blitz or a Blackbeard, you know, showed their face. And we know that Ella, with the Grisbot Mine's fantastic against shields. So overall, I think for BDS, good lineup, good strong lineup. Bit of everything that you would want to have in there. For Gen.G, I mean, you look at Gen.G's lineup, where is their pushing power going to come from? You know, they don't have a Ying, they don't have a Capita on their lineup. All those operators are pretty tame, so they're going to be relying pretty heavily on just taking engagements, taking gunfights, Sammy, but against a team like BDS, whenever we know they've got gunners, that could be a little bit more difficult than what you think it might be.
Here comes the narrow angle to a default plant spot, but with less than a minute left and with 3 smoke canisters and a C4 to try and juggle yourself through, as well as, if they're feeling a bit funky, Frack with the Keybers that you assume already set up behind the desk and just push himself further and further. They can't really just full send that default plant spot. They have to do something else here to draw them away, and it seems like a bit of a long rotate coming out from Nako, who, to be fair, before the slight tech pause, having an absolute storm of the game. can count himself 10-4, and he was almost the first body lost here, but there's the slip in towards the default. As I said, there's the Asami, keep it up behind the desk, and P4 is removed. Sky's going for the plant, the swing out, too many options. They get the cover, but the plant can still be confirmed until Lasmo just does that. Sat on the kit, 7 seconds, you gotta send it. Somebody's gotta do something either side. Pop, pop, pop. But the only thing running out is the clock. Can't even get there in time, and ooh, Lasmo takes that round for BDS.
Ah, big moment there for Lasmo. Just steps up to the mantle. Only 2 players trying to go in for that plant. 1 player in the breach. Obviously, the other player going for the plant. The other 3 players were nowhere to be seen. And BDS targeted that. Yeah. They knew where the players of Gen.G were at all times. So simple for them. Lasmo sees the guy in the breach is dead, and then he knows there's only 1 guy left. It's the guy with the kit. I win that engagement. I win the round. I mean, they lost their smoke in a position where, again, I talk about that util dump. You know, this is generically what happens. You know, B4 in that pause as the smoke being used to hold Mez. Gen.G did a really good job at just clearing that away, using nades, using flashbangs. And you kind of thought, okay, where's their plant denial line? They've just lost their smoke. I think they did have a C4 still from the Warden, but he was occupied by someone else, I think, by Gen.G, so he wasn't in a position. So even for BDS, I mean, you're really playing with fire. Your hard kind of denial off the smoke is being used as a more aggressive position, holding into Mez. Then obviously the C4 is on the other side of where the bomb's being planted. So yeah, I just think Lasmo had to step up, and he did so, you know, in great fashion.
So, for those unaware, who somehow have missed it, it's BDS versus Gen.G, not BDS versus Lair itself.
I didn't even clock that.
I didn't clock it as well at first. But it doesn't matter. You lot know the game. And it's not worth us stopping the play for, so we keep rolling. Or it's like, if it was BDS versus Clubhouse, it's almost more fisting because it would be them fighting the demons.
Yeah.
That would be them really trying to beat it. As I said, when we had the Blitz a few rounds ago, it's not going to be the only shield we see in this best of 3. And a Blackbeard on the second round is going to try and be that sort of attempted response here. Freck flirting with a roam and a bit of danger. I'm going to talk about how, you know, Nako's been off to a great start. Freck, unfortunately not. It continues. Another death here. Led to a tally as he drifts further and further away from the season that he had last season, where it was just unbelievable. But Robbie and P4 still firing, and Lasmo steps up as well. Still have the chance at growth. There's the Blackbeard immediately putting some pressure here from the side of blockers. You can see they're opening up the verticality as well, just sort of keeping the pressure quite tight. So those flankers, those roamers like Virtue have to make a move. You can see that they're sort of watching over the top. They're trying to get a little bit more control as well. P4 on that sort of double up here, but they're not overextending. Gen.G, they're sort of keeping what they've got, making sure that it's what they need, and they're going to see if they can try and make it work. It's up to BDS to step back in towards this fight.
Well, the roamers need to do something, because you see from Gen.G, they're now pressuring the bomb site they're in. They're going for the plant. I mean, Virtue and Co need to get a move on. P4 though has one-tapped the player going for the plant. What angle is he on? How's he done that, Robbie? A double kill out of nowhere. What on earth has just happened, Gen.G? Hello, has somebody flicked off the light switch?
Okay, I mean, it's Nako against the world, 30 seconds. Now it's Nako against nobody. Okay, so I was talking about how Gen.G had taken what they thought they needed and they were just going to watch it and go for it, and BDS needed to retake. BDS retook it, but stopped. They held the angle. They read the game and the play, and they sat and they waited so the timer would tick down, because as soon as they stopped that first plant, that was the warning to Gen.G of, oh no, they're here. They're holding on to this. We haven't done this right. We need to react to that.
Do we have a replay of that angle, by the way?
Please do, because the false sense of security BDS gave Gen.G there by waiting. By going, oh, we know exactly what they're doing and they haven't noticed that. Abracadabra. I've killed your planter. Ooh. Yeah, I'm assuming when we're back in after the tac timeout, we'll have a look at that replay because that was...
Yeah. Whatever. I've never seen that angle before. So I hope we can see it. Let's see.
I want to see it in the slowest of motion.
Oh my.
And think about where he is, right? Just in the middle, sort of bottom of the main stairs.
New job, receptionist.
Just fearless. And you could see the sort of panic of, oh no, we need to go and get that guy. We've entirely missed this moment. He could not be. I think, like, by footprint, it is the most open room in the entirety of the map, apart from maybe the sort of warehouse side. But
Calibrating air compression.
10 seconds remaining.
hey,
Shield ready.
5-3.
Changing mag.
Tac timeout
5
has been
seconds to
called
go.
and played out here. BDS, as I said, at the sort of turn of the half, 3-3 works for them.
Locate and
The
defuse
map
bomb.
is the third most defender-sided of our pool currently.
Shows me some respect.
And at this point, it's a team that started very, very strong, tapered off a bit, and then it became a bit of a brawl. Here, they've started strong. They got 2 rounds at the start of the game. It's not impossible for Gen.G to pull this one back. This dead shot is immediately in and upstairs, and you can hear Blackbeard rolling behind him. They're just going to see if they can try and smash their way through.
At the moment, Gen.G obviously feeling the pressure because that timeout, I mean, that probably would have been a tilt around thinking, how did we lose that? We were in a perfect position. You just missed one thing, like just droning out the mid floor. Somebody up in a vertical right above where your player's going for the plant.
Track stingers in play.
But they need to dig deep now because BDS got a bit of life in them.
That's how you
2-round advantage, great for BDS, and now they go into this bomb site, which we know attackers have had real hard time at getting this mid floor under their belt. Again, I mean, like I mentioned, we never had that discussion. It's just the amount of players that would stay up here and the amount of utility you have to utilize. I mean, I think Gen.G, though, they're doing a really good job, though. They've opened up all of the reinforced walls, those kind of safety walls. And now you've really restricted the movement now for BDS. There's not a lot of areas that they can really rotate to. I like the addition of the shield, which is obviously going to give them that fishing power. That mirror window that P4's on. Again, all it takes is like just one nade rolled beside him, but I think he does have ADS, so I can hear the ADS beside him, yeah, so again, not going to really affect him too much, so Robbie right now in a big position, and then just swings for no reason, and gets taken out. Gen.G gonna sweep this bomb site. Wow, that is probably the best way we've seen of a top floor to come in, but it just feels like BDS have just sacrificed themselves.
So, when I said... At our halftime break, when I was like, I want to see more teams attack the top floor for that site. What happened? I don't want to... That's not the only cause of it. As you said, BDS just sort of threw themselves into it. They didn't really have a response that was befitting the round that was playing out. But also, it's just sort of like, okay, cool. There's a sort of result. It was a strong take. They operated as a team. They made sure they had the space. After the round before, where they messed up the vertical control, you know damn well they're going to make sure that every single square inch of it is dusted and sort of ready for an approach. Did BDS do themselves any favors? No. But, I mean, that sort of multifaceted pinch. They gave them no options other than the hatch. But if they all took the hatch drop at that time, there would just be too much time left for the dedication that they had on the verticality. They'd have to drop down, hope they didn't get caught in the rotate, and then go for a retake themselves, which isn't easy to do.
Throwing an F.
But, well, as proven, neither is whatever they tried to do. Anyway, back to the top here, and it was their tertiary, so they have an opportunity to put this one to bed within 2 sites that they've already won, and they're hiding a clash demo.
5 seconds to go.
For BDS, whenever the
Attackers are moving out to locate a bomb and defuse
the
it.
issue that they have is just the amount of util that Gen.G is kind of bringing in and tossing at them. Flash, we know, is a great operator, just standing there, taking a lot of util. A lot of times where people see a Clash, they think, oh, I'll just throw an aid. Nope, that Clash can just walk away, and I feel some teams still do it to this day. You know, you throw util to the Clash expecting to get somewhere, but Clash is a tricky customer. And when you look at the lineup here for Gen.G, this is not a favorable lineup to be going up against the Clash. You've got a Blitz, which is going to be fully hard countered by the Clash. In terms of nades, yes, you've got a lot of it, but like I mentioned, Clash has legs. What? So...
I haven't done that for a while. I haven't done that for a while.
So obviously for Lasmau, this lineup should be a piece of cake.
Well, talk about having legs. Azox did, and also had lungs, unfortunately, so couldn't quite drive himself all the way in towards the barbed wire, and the smoke canisters does bait out an early smoke pop and does get the chance at removing that barbed wire, so now they have to pay keen attention elsewhere. A Clash in the meantime. Where are you going? Oh, to do this.
See? Look, just throws an aid. See what I mean? People still do it. You throw an aid for what?
Well, I think to waste utility, but in the meantime, talking about utility wasted and Freck, but there's P4 at least for revenge, and then there's Nako. Traded, and traded back. Well, they've now got some control over top green, but the Clash is currently alone, I think, out there. They're going to sort of try their best to feed some information, so as long as the attackers are aware of this, well, they can still set themselves up. The Blitz, I was going to make the point of, has drawn all that utility out of those players, put the pressure on, and did the same thing. They just kept on throwing smoke canisters, assuming the Blitz was going to go quick. There goes the Clash shield. Oh, there goes two Gen.G players, though. Swung round. Now it's just a guns up situation and a 3 versus 2 where one of them is stuck behind a big bit of iron with a blinding light on the front of it. They have a minute, though. A lot of time to try and reform and recapitulate themselves, but they're going to be entering into what is a crossfire, and they are well aware of it. Still rolling the drones out, swings into the first fight and takes it very well, and there isn't an instant response there. The Blitz was kind of ready for it, but with Robbie on the long watch and a smoke canister disguising the Blitz getting in close, they have to be ready for this. Virtue lets the first one cross, is ready to try and knife a shield. They go in tight for the fight, but as Asta gets the cover onto one, pre-fires the next. Somehow, two Gen.G players against the world on a single doorway demo. Take the rest of the round.
Yeah. I'm gonna have to call out Virtue there. Yeah. He needs to play closer to his teammate, the teammate in behind the table of our 6 room. Virtue actually almost needed to dip in, you know, where the bomb is, that kind of wall. You can then play a perfect crossfire. Where Virtue was on the door, he cannot actually see the Ace as he comes in for the swing. As long as Ace hugs up close against the wall, that's going to be an easy kill for him. So Virtue needed to be so much closer for that trade. You'll see right here. Asa is completely invisible there to Virtue. Virtue cannot see through that wall. So yeah, that's the blunder. That is the issue there. Virtue needed to be closer for that trade. No doubt about it.
It's a slip up that has tied us right up. 5 apiece.
10
And
seconds
with
to
the
insertion.
haunt of Clubhouse to follow us for the side of BDS, they
5
need
seconds
to
left.
get this one in the bag, or Gen.G might be setting us off to a quick 2-0 start. Clash is up once again. And, you know, we saw some unfortunate trades, some unfortunate moments come out. Again, unfortunately missing the gun of Freck. But on the other side of it, you've got Skies, who's... It's not really his role to immediately get himself thrown in, but I think you were sort of looking at his performance last split versus this one, weren't you, Demo?
Yeah, well, I mean, we could probably look at 2 players who maybe have had kind of opposite stages. Skies on Gen.G. He was the top performer for Gen.G last stage. Now he's actually at the bottom. I mean, it's not as though he's fell off. It's just I think everyone else from his team stepped up. Whereas you look at BDS, you look at Freck. Freck was the sole reason I felt that they won a lot of the games that they did last stage. I think he was 4th best rated player. I think now he's like in around like the 30s for best players this stage. So Freck has had a bit of a downgrade from where he was in the last stage. So Yeah, it's always weird though, because again, consistency is a massive thing that I always look to. Is, you know, the best players are the ones who can do it week in, week out, and you know, there's two players which necessarily haven't lived up to the hype that maybe what they had in stage 1.
Well, if one of them can try and find that trigger finger a bit quicker than the other, we could have ourselves a pushover at least within regulation time here. At this point, with Deadshot gone, with an early pick, once again sort of coming into their favor, it does break some of the mold that we haven't had for a very long time, it feels like. You know, the opening 3 rounds, it was a BDS body that sort of bloodied, maybe even the opening 4, actually, as I think back. I think it was. Was it Freck? It might have been Freck. Either way. It's definitely not been to their favor on this other half. Now, will they be more clued in towards the chance? Nako's got some cover from a French DMR, which is that sort of perfect gun you want in any situation currently in the game. And otherwise just being held off. The clash revealing itself, a breach on towards the default plant, and a preparation for somebody that might want to swing, just swinging themselves and pre-firing. They're ready behind the shield itself. They can set it up. They almost for a second looked like they wanted to try and air jab them out, but as Azox does find Freck, it's leveled up. Caught as they just went for it though. I mean, was watching the angle and an execution on the player in the middle of the box. Okay. 3 apiece here, Demo.
Yeah, but I mean, how are they going to get through this without the youth? Like, they don't have anything for the art side. So Robbie right now in a great position, can't really be touched. Still got this clash, and with no nomads, I mean, no counter to it. But somehow, Azox has slipped in, or Accessory has slipped in, and he's going to go in for the plant.
You got to swing. There's the swing. A quad kill for Virtue, but as 2's only in his name, I think 2 of them are already down. Otherwise, hey, what does that spell, Demo? A player being more reactive towards what the rest of their team were doing. Maybe they realized their mistakes from the previous rounds as you pointed them out, and they found a way to get a solution for them. They get themselves up towards map point, but now, do they try and go back down to the basement and get it locked in? You would assume so, because Bunks and Briefing definitely wasn't the case for them last time.
I mean, that was time in there for Skies. He was holding on to the angle, waiting for that player to swing top mids, waiting for Robbie. And the second he looks away, then Robbie swings. It's just classic stage time in there for Skies. But just not enough util, I think, for Gen.G to really make that a success. I think that was the worry for it. I mean, the fact that we even got into the bomb site, I mean, I was surprised about. But good retake there from BDS. Happy enough to let him go for the plant, pick up the swings, kill his teammates, leave him in an impossible situation. So, yeah. I mean, very back and forth. I wouldn't say that either side has looked, you know, massively dominant for long periods of the game. I think, what has it been? Maybe 3 rounds max has been like the most rounds won by one side.
Yep, each team has won 3 rounds in a sort of block.
Yep.
I think that was the first time we've had a single round traded. BDS to Gen.G to BDS, because at the start it was 2 and 2 into, or 2 and 3. The point still stands. As I said, the only thing that's really felt defining on this half is the fact that up until that round, every single opening kill had been in the favor of Gen.G. They were repeatedly able to punish them, and you don't want to point fingers, but 3 of those were Freck. And it's always hard because you compare a player towards their best, and his best was so good.
Let me see his stats for entries as well in stage 1. He was 10 and 7 on the entry.
So in this map alone, he's been the opening death 5 times. So it's a grim stat. Hey, remember when I said it's probably not going to be this site?
You're right.
I was wrong?
Yep.
Do you know why I could be wrong? Because they think that Gen.G will think like I did, and, well, they've been able to get a kill out of it. Now, what were you doing?
I was going to ask the same thing. Why are now Gen.G going for this approach? The last time, they were able to sweep that top floor in the blink of an eye, and it was fantastic.
I feel like ripping my hair out.
Now we're kind of going back to the Sense and the Capital, which, again, still can work. still can. But there is an awful lot of C4s, though, which does worry me that may not work.
I'm just, you know, yeah, we'll see how it comes together here. Obviously, it's maybe the do or die round. They're just trying to push themselves in. There's been no real pressure on the verticality. I'm wondering and hoping that some of our brilliant minds and co-streamers like Fett or Pengu potentially are going to break down my madness about this. But they're just running in and going for the plant. He's behind the sense wall. There is a call. The C4 forces the player off. He's about to be revealed. Who will get who? Time will tell. It's a surprise. But now they know he's here. So they can put the pressure on the verticality and he has to leave. They have somehow found 2 kills in it, so they actually step back in. But what a rotate round onto green. Aston's just going to stick it. No, he's not. He's dead. 2 versus 1. Round done. Map done. And I mean, credit and kudos there for BDS to pushing it. But really, Gen.G, that was sort of a questionable decision.
For BDS, you know, it's came down to a final shootout between them and Fnatic, see who would get the final spot inside of playoffs. And like Anne pointed out, it's the first time this team has ever played in a best of 3 since they were formed.
Wow. What a journey. But it's expected, right? You want to get here and you can talk about how, you know, it might be the sort of first best of 3 or whatever, but there's players across both of these rosters that have experience in the biggest places. There's players across both of these rosters that have that history, and there's players that we've expected maybe not to win the biggest hammer or are already hammer winners, but to put pressure on towards majors, put pressure on towards international stages. So it's sort of expected to rain, as weird as it is to say. Either way, I'm excited to get into this one. Obviously, this, you know, we've sort of set it up. It's a little bit like the Toy Story films currently, right? You've got the first one and the third one, absolute bangers. 10 out of 10, you expect full fights. The second one has some lovely moments, but it's not quite as good as the first or the third. You know? Introduces some cool themes. I'm curious if this is going to feel that same. I was trying to think of
I would disagree.
I was trying to think of a movie trilogy where the second is the weakest. I'm not saying it's a weak film.
I mean, I think Toy Story is like the perfect trilogy.
Okay, yeah, but would you say
One,
the 2
2,
is
3
as
is
good
like
as 1 and
they're all
3?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Name a movie trilogy where 2
5
is the
seconds
weakest.
left.
Iron Man?
Attackers are moving out to locate a bomb and defuse
Or
it.
Make sure you don't deviate.
just go for the Marvel films, are we?
Anyway. Oh, Ocean's 11. Ocean's 11, Ocean's 13. Great movie.
Great point. Yeah.
Ocean
That's
12.
a good one.
Forget about it. Oh, forget about this. Deadshot. Within the opening 10 seconds, through the meat locker and ready to take a pinch. Nako's here as well. Look at how quick they're applying this pressure on towards the site itself. And they've isolated Freck as well. Stuck playing around the dog cages. He's going to have to try and drift his way out. Has he overstayed his welcome? Was that his moment to get out of there? Robbie's trying his best to alleviate a route through and some pressure here, but obviously this is a high risk. And if he doesn't get droned, amazing. If he does get droned, then execution. A minute ticked away. There's the run out. Oh, and there it is. Easy pickup. Freck wasn't caught out. There goes Azox, and what was a good rush in has rushed an entry kill. Freck gets his first in what feels like forever.
Yeah, cheap kill to give away, I feel, for Gen.G. I mean, Freck just running around the garage like a headless chicken, and he sticks his head out. And you know, picks up quite an easy one on the Azox. So the issue now that this is going to be for Gen.G is they're now a man down on a basement execute. And as we know, oh wait, come on, Asajiro, what are you doing? That's not how it's done. I think the intention was to run over to the triple wall and try and get the hard breach gadget on it, but you don't do it in that way. That's not how it's done. And yeah, this should be case closed. Realistically for Gen.G, I don't see them getting through this. Triple wall's reinforced. They have no way of getting that open. They have to push in through doorways, and it's just not going to work out for them.
There's Robbie, hitting himself second for the round. Skies is gone, leaves just 2 soft breaches against a hard wall in a tough place and a lot of smoke. Robbie just cleaned up, doesn't get the next to the C4. Incidentally makes it that, but Virtue makes up for a last mistake. I mean, as he said, it was an easy kill. It was an unchallenged kill. And BDS were able to make bread whilst the sun shone. Immediately, they have matched their record in both their showdown against Secret and against Gen.G when they played this map in the league. And we're on round 1, Demo.
Good start for BDS. Again, Clubhouse. I have said that this is Gen.G's all-time favorite map that they want to go to all the time. They're very, very good at it. And a few teams have kind of learned that the hard way, I feel, for Gen.G this year. Certainly for BDS, I think starting off on the right foot is going to give them just so much confidence. I mean, they should already have a lot of confidence. You get the first map. That's a lot of momentum that you have on your side, you know, brewing right from the get-go. You bring it into this map. If you can keep that level of energy and you keep it rolling, who knows what you can do. Momentum is one heck of a drop.
Well, there's always the other side of that, isn't there, Demo? And the fact that we have just come hurtling into a map that everybody's mums, Gen.G, they should take this. And 1 round, okay, fine. They got 1 round last time. What does it matter? 2 rounds? 2 rounds? Oh, that's not much more than 1. If we get to 3 rounds, Demo, I think you'll very quickly see a timeout. Because Gen.G cannot, as you said, let them build momentum. The triple kill to open up here with Robbie, and he's going to be the first port of call. Playing on towards the rafters position. And as the breach opens on CC, yeah, he's trapped.
What have they got for him, though? I mean, they've got a Nomad. So maybe air jab, is that the game plan? I mean, it's got nades. And the fact that Azox is also down at the bottom of Garage, I think some nades are going to come his way too. Robbie has used literally all of his keeper barriers here as well. I mean, in goes the nades. Is it going to be able to net him? No. In goes the air jabs. I mean, his cover is gone, but great support from Frack. At least gets the kill back. We knew Robbie was always going to be a dead man, but Frack getting that all-important kill has made that so worthwhile.
Yeah, I mean, they had the teamwork, they had the dream work, and they had the net to catch anybody that tried to push up. And you go, well, how do we get rid of this player? We could do this. We're going to have to send a man. Oh, no, they have somebody watching for that. And at this point, you think about what time's been wasted, what player's been wasted, and what still needs to be done. They haven't got themselves in towards CC. The breach is going to happen on the back end of it, but it's... Ooh, I think for a second they tried to trick it there, but they were a little bit too late. To the party, the mirror window didn't quite pop in time, so they couldn't get the impact out. I think even then the thermite was a bit far away, but here, too easy. Way too easy.
Yeah, I was going to point this out. You think about the operator that died. I mean, he already used his util, but they used their only nades on trying to clear that guy rafters. There's the shield top red. How are you getting rid of that? Not only that, Goyo canisters. How do you remove the Goyo canisters? They have nothing to do that either. So at Gen.G, with no nades, with no real good util for this clear, they're going to struggle. Yes, they've been able to take cash side. I'll give them credit to it. But it's these Goyo canisters, Emmy. This is going to be the issue.
I mean, they're taking cash side at the cost of who was their best player in the last map and also the sledge on the lead in. Robbie's gone. We knew his position was a death position, and Virtue's removed as well. But now you've got 30 seconds to clear the Goyo, clear the site itself. You've still got the coverage potential, you still got Logi, and now you don't have a player on the window because, well, they didn't have time to drone out and double check these positions. BDS, they've been free in this bedroom to do what they want to do. And what they want to do is shoot people out the bloody window. That C4 will rip, it'll at least have the effect of popping the Goyo, but as they hop in and pistol down one, there's the second follow through. BDS off to a strong start here, but I think it's also fair to say Gen.G are off to a bit of a wobbly one.
Yeah, and I think Gen.G, what we kind of seen from them whenever they played up against VP last week, if you can remember, Gen.G had some really good attacks, but that's whenever everyone was alive and they were able to use the util. I'm seeing BDS, their kind of game plan, it's to start off strong. They're ready to challenge onto these players. They're looking to burn up util. And burning up util in this round specifically has been the kicker. That shield was not removed. The Goyo canisters were not removed. You mentioned as well. They didn't even have enough time to do drone work. You know, I love the game plan that BDS are coming in with. Disrupt, disrupt, disrupt. That is the game.
2-0. Hey, if they get 1, and what's that? If they get 2, they are on the defense. It is worth sort of highlighting that when BDS and Gen.G did play last time,
10
Gen.G
seconds
were the
remaining.
ones that start on their defense, and, you know, this is a map that you
5
should
seconds
be
left
able to
before
have
insertion.
strong sides on either side. It's
Loading new magazine.
close to even,
Attackers are
52
moving to defuse a
on your
bomb.
defense to 47 on your attack.
Judo
Ish.
is ceremonial. I
But
am not
in that
going to
same
shoot
sort of
an apple
space,
off your head.
if we've not really had BDS
Or
tested to this level, because they're on the other side for Secret's loss, but you're against Secret. You're against, you know, in some manners, one of the strongest teams in the world right now.
If not the strongest, that I would maybe even say.
Well, you've said it. So at that point, a 7-1 versus them is very different. And those stats, those figures start to get a different lens on them. Maybe it's a rose tint to Gen.G, or we're able to get some focus from the side of BDS. But building on their defense, the first time they're allowed to cook, I said it before, if they win that first map, anything they take on the second, the map that everybody expects them to lose, suddenly becomes the best thing ever. The momentum is clear. And Gen.G, without a timeout, need to find a way of cutting it in half. Because if BDS can pull Gen.G's timeout this early, they know they're scared. They get construction, get the work done with the Blackbeard, and this is easily the quickest they've been at approaching the pressure onto the site. But no pressure onto rafters, it looks like, and
Yeah.
that'll allow BDS to just sort of set up and prepare for this.
Yeah, I was going to pick up on that. I think rafters and also into lounges where BDS have put all of their eggs into the one basket. They have no intention of holding in towards bedroom, in towards construction. They're more than happy to let Gen.G have this. Now, if you look at the lineup from BDS, they only have got 1 C4, so there is that potential that maybe you could see that recruit go downstairs and try and utilize that C4 to stop the plant. Don't forget, there's really no safe position you can plant whenever it comes to this bomb site. So certainly C4s are going to be on the table. The only thing is how are they going to stop the guys over in Catwalk holding onto that very long line of sight that stops anyone walking in towards Cash? That's what I'm curious to see. They don't have any smokes, so really, how are they going to do that?
Well, the utility in the kitchen sink is thrown, but P4 just throws some bullets right back. Deadshot is gone. There's Grim.
Where are you
There's
going?
at least P4 back, and then Robbie steps out and gets the body for the body. The grenade will force the rotation, but they can't quite catch the kill on the back of it, and it just feels a bit disjointed. From the compliments that we've paid to them before, here, sat, watching, waiting, outside a breach that is not one that they can enter onto. They will just have to hope the rest of the team comes together, and that's a great way to start it, but that's the worst way to continue it. Lasmo gets one. They want to swing onto the fight with the next. Somehow wins that engagement, but dropped out. Lasmo still doing the bits to carry them on, leaves a Blackbeard. But with 15 seconds and a pressure of the plant, they just have to play together. There's a swing out from either side, and that is 3 in a row. And surely that alarm starts to ring.
Yeah, where's the timeout? Has to be for Gen.G. 3 rounds in a row. Hasn't even really been competitive. Do I dare say that, Emmy? I think all these rounds have been clearly favored towards BDS. No timeout. I'm astonished by that.
It might be after the bans, or is it always before the bans? I don't remember.
Oh, no, pretty sure it's usually beforehand. I look at that attack coming in from Gen.G. So one-dimensional. So obvious where they were going to go from. They didn't try and take any other part of the map. They're just trying to push in through one side and think that's going to work. It is so easy for teams to play guns up on that bomb site and just hold on to the different angles of where they're going to jump in from. What they really needed there, Emmy, was players going below, taking lounge, and pressuring that staircase. That's what I think they missed out on.
Swapping mags.
You have to stop worrying about grenades now.
At this point, without opting for the timeout and knowing they have to run a gauntlet of sites that they have all lost already, I guess they're just going to hope that they can try and thread a different story from the picked up pieces before.
5 seconds
Okay,
to go.
let's throw our minds back a couple of rounds. How did this one open? Well, they tried to get in very, very quick, and they did that.
Objective is to locate
But
a
they
bomb and
missed
defuse it.
someone. And that someone was able to get a very free, easy early pick and then pull themselves back towards site. And then when it came towards it and they tried to push on the back of their early ground taken, well, at that point, when it gets into a trade game, You're already 1 foot behind. They will get to the finish line first. Then, from that point onwards, I think the drone game is something that I think is a fair criticism from what we've seen from Gen.G's approach so far. Whether it's too
more time
late.
management, no?
Well, I think that was the exact point of it. The first round they missed a player with a drone. The second time they just didn't have the time to do it. I would say that in a way plays a bit into it. Do you think that's fair? Like,
I think it's probably best way they didn't drone because they didn't have the time to drone. Is that probably that's like kind of
that's
in the middle?
That's a fair way of putting it.
Yeah.
We've got 2 different glasses and we're both. This is half empty.
We're both agreeing it's not good. Let's put it that way. We'll get to the same place, just different different paths to the destination. Certainly for BDS, it's all about the disruption, and there you go, right away, Frack, with the opening pick. Look at what they've been able to pick off. I was going to mention about the bans. You look at what has been banned away from Gen.G. They've now lost the Grim. Grim and Capital gone. That only leaves you with Ying as your other heavy-hitting util dump operator, specifically for blue. Ying had to come in. We knew that. They picked the Ying, obviously. You've lost the Ying. You now have nothing at all to take blue. And as we know, if you want to go for a triple wall take, which a lot of the time we will see Gen.G attempt that. They attempted it last time, remember? They tried to walk over and get a hard breach gadget onto that triple wall. It didn't work out for them. You need to take blue for that take. And if they don't have the operators for it, this is what's going to happen. You're trying to push in the moto without taking blue. Look how easy it is for these defenders to sit and hold. Look at this. So simple.
I mean, stop the clock. Right? We have to pay attention towards the fact this is the second map in this best of 3 series. BDS have the first, and seemingly as soon as they've got on their defense across the 2 maps, their win rate has absolutely skyrocketed. It was even on the only attacking we've seen from them so far, but if they are to push this one over, could they have done enough? We're starting to get those names we said before of could this person pop to life, like Freck. Oh, he has. I think he's got the entry kill 2 of the 4 rounds we've had so far. He's coming to life. The rest of the team has always sort of been alive. We see Lasmo just continually doing these little 2Ks, these little moments. The cover's good. The movement's good. This is a team that's come prepared to a clubhouse. And we posed the question, why clubhouse? And so far on their defense, they've answered.
Drop the bomb.
I think BDS have really turned the corner in terms of how they're playing club. I think, like I said, the game plan, being able to get in there and get that opening pick is just making life a misery for Gen.G. But I will say, Gen.G, this has been miserable to watch. Basic stuff not being done. So one-dimensional. On a map like Clubhouse, you need to target at least 2 different pressure points, yeah? Like I mentioned in that last round, if you're going to go for a church take, you need to take blue. They're not doing that. You look at whenever they were attacking that cash side. If you're going in for the cash take coming in from construction, you need to take blue. You need to pressure up red stairs. They didn't do that either. They are not making BDS panic. It is so simple for BDS to put their feet up and watch one way, because they know that's where it's all coming from. There's no little backstab coming in. None of that from Gen.G.
And also no timeout stuff. They are going to keep going. And
I'm sorry, your team is drowning, and you're not throwing in the what's it called? Not the life jacket. No, not the towel. They're drowning. It's the life ring. Life ring, is that
the
it?
life preserver.
Life preserver. That's it. Where is it? Because I'm sorry, lifeguard is doing his job.
Yeah, I mean, obviously we don't know the comms, we don't know the mentality, we can't tell you exactly beat for beat. And again, the same way I'm fine for pros to sort of break it down. What would be the thing that would keep you going? I guess it would be the expectation that we can still win this without that timeout. We keep that precious resource in our pocket. And they know that the first defense they'll have to go up against is potentially the strongest, fine. But it's not that they're getting close. They're still very far away. And now they have to run the risk of making sure that this one is good, which when, as you said, they're failing basics, it's a different position. First slips past, second pre-fires over the top, and they prepare for a fight. Just missed the angle. They've been able to get the opening engagement the first time. That has gone into their favor the entirety of this showdown so far. Freck is being droned out and pressured out, and a grenade will force a bit of his motion, but it falls down the stairs, so he's lucky to find a pocket of survival, and then he gets dead shot.
Ow.
They're not moving behind the utility. There's a fight up the stairs, but there's a hop
Brilliant.
out. Brilliant from Lasmo. And slips his way back. P4 on the door. Wants to play the role of bouncer. Whose name is he gonna check first? I talked about the drone game. And a drone is about to roll its way through. Oh, and it didn't really get him. Confirms it before he gets dropped to 2 versus 1.
Brilliant.
Virtue stepping in. Refusing Gen.G access. And that leaves a Thermite with 2 flashes against 3 impact that on their own could be the end of it. Gonna try and pick the fight on towards Logi. Get the read through. But as they pop Goya canisters either side, well, it's just more time that has to come away from them. They still have the chance. You assume there's canisters on these windows as well. So if he risks entering here, he could get caught immediately. As we've seen these positions, they're sort of going back and forth at this point. 15 seconds. He's just going to hop in and send it. But look, they've gone underneath. I think they've just sort of played back. They're keeping themselves a bit further away. They know that time is what he's got to play into. It's a 1 versus 1. 4 seconds. Lasmo isn't giving him the engagement. We saw a narrow fight in this position last time, but he's not able to get it cemented. 5 in a row for BDS. 1-7 on this map before. 1-7 on this map again. Could this be the return to form?
That round is probably the best round of Siege I think I've seen BDS play. Because that was perfection. The game plan that round was trade, never take your foot off the pedal, never give Gen.G a chance to recalibrate. We know that the game plan going into this, because they've done it every single round, they play for that opening pick. Yeah, they want to disrupt Gen.G. They never want to give Gen.G a chance to have a 5-man execute, because they know Gen.G will probably win that round because they're very, very good if they get to that point. So the game plan that BDS have went in with is great. Yeah, we've seen it work really, really well. That round was all about trading kills back and forth and always catching Gen.G by surprise. There were so many moments there where as soon as one player in BDS got a kill and died, somebody was there to take their place. And then they end up with that immediate man advantage. Yeah? Gen.G had no idea what hit them. They just could never stabilize in that round. It starts off with this kill. It gets straight off. P4 swings. And then look at Virtue. Virtue getting aggressive with his teammate to then get that trade. That is brilliant from all accords. Gen.G have not even been able to get a plant down. They played 5 attacks in Clubhouse, and I don't even think they've had a semblance of an execute. They are getting absolutely
Attackers
trapped.
have discovered the location of a bomb.
Swapping mags!
And yet, unless I've missed it, unless we've both missed it, no timeout.
Well, I feel as though I talked for a very long time there. No, it had
You
to be a
did.
timeout.
We didn't see
10 seconds
I don't know.
remaining.
no timeout.
Oh, that I don't.
5 seconds left.
Oh, what are they waiting for?
Adding some protection from...
Attackers are moving to defuse
Do they
the
think they
bomb.
only get one timeout for the series, maybe? I don't know.
I'm gonna take that as a compliment.
Someone should tell them. Someone should tell them that they have one. It's not the admin's job. It's like when a
Unless the
teacher
coaches
reminds you
turn
that you
out
can
to
get
give up.
extra
Unless they
time
give
on a
up.
test.
Like, do they think, oh, there's no point? That the hatch, is that the mentality? Is that where we are?
No, it's just, it's frustrating, right? It's frustrating again, and it's frustrating for us because, again, we're not in there. Maybe there's some master plan and some master gambit. Maybe it's a team that just operates better without one in these situations. But, as I said, the rounds when there's stuff to be done, not being done. The fact that BDS seem to have their number, they can't just hope to get on the other side and have the same half. Yeah, okay, before, they got 5 defenses against BDS's attack like a month ago. But with this energy, with this momentum, with knowing you got to be flawless... 5-0. 2 rounds separate BDS from moving along in our bracket. And they would be able to find themselves up against Team Falcons for a chance at getting to the major. Gen.G. This obviously wouldn't be the end of their run. They would fall down towards lower bracket. And as blind starts to come through, can they get an engagement? As I said, it's generally avoided them, but a shield is going to meet them. Pop utility, some coverage. Are they just going to send it? Flashes go in, more pressure. That grenade will force a bit of motion, but there's not an immediate catch on it. Instead, the Blackbeard absolutely rinsed. Skies pushes in, gets one. There's a trade out. Frack again, playing these aggressive positions, just digging in deep and not letting him take any terrain or territory from underneath your boot without it being well scorched first. 4-3. Still standing, and they've been knocked out of the site. Yes, they have rafters. What do they no longer have, Demo? They don't have their shield. They don't have their main sort of hard breacher, but Deadshot, if they can rotate, as they've done, can get this route open. Changes, they're playing against smoke canisters from this point onwards. And there's 30 seconds or so. And Virtue gets one more. That is the cover. They just swung out, got the cover player. The last two, one is going to have to try and hope and sort of potentially even hop and rotate their way in, but the smoke canisters can define this. There goes the last one. 20 seconds. At this point, they can rotate underneath, hit them with the impact. At this point, they could swing out and do the game that they've been doing, because at this point, it doesn't bloody matter, Demo. They're just better. Flawless half for BDS on map 2. One round separates them from progressing on the upper bracket.
Same thing again. No pressure points being applied from Gen.G, all in the one area. BDS, again, just sit back and just watch it happen. You look at how that round plays out from start to finish. You've got one guy on rafters. It's going to be a Warden. Warden didn't have, like, massive amount of util to help him. Yeah, it was just him. They double reinforced the two garage walls, right? Immediately, that was picked up by Gen.G. We've seen the drone go in. They noticed, okay, both walls reinforced. Essentially, that Warden is going to get no support from his teammates. It's just going to be him, right? That should have been very, easily cleared out. The Blackbeard made a blunder. Blackbeard died. Yes, we were still able to get a trade. That wasn't, for me, the issue. The issue was the Thermite, yeah? Nako obviously sees that the garage walls are reinforced. That means he theoretically could just walk in through the breach. Knows he doesn't have to worry about getting killed from rafters because the head holes are reinforced. But he done it by himself. He was in that bomb site by himself, trying to push deep, by the way, as a Thermite. This is where individuals now are starting to lose their head. And I don't know why the timeout wasn't called, because I think that's a perfect sign of somebody who is trying to get their team back in, and they're making stupid mistakes because of it.
Explosive ordnance out in prime.
I mean, at this point, they hope for a flawless half. And okay,
5 seconds
let's
remaining.
get our headspaces into a position where that's not impossible. We always say that. You have to, legally obliged. If you sign a contract as a caster, you have to, when you get to halftime, say a couple of things. It's either it's a game of two halves, or we've seen one flawless, we can always see it again. But why they haven't opted to take a timeout, why they're just going to try and push themselves on towards this. P4 is going to try and put the nail in right now because they have all momentum. So if they can start to put these warning signs going, there's the pings, there's the reveal, oh, they've already opened up dirt door. Well, it was given to them as free terrain, but look at Freck's motion.
Oh, look at Freck, yeah.
Bottom blue, he's in. He's about to try and cut them in half. He's hoping the two of them can go for a pinch. Got the buck that wants to open, and there we go. They've now lost the body inside blue. They've all got to sort of try and scream their way back in. Massive kill for Azox to get one back onto Freck. But now they're worried about every single angle because they still have players that are a little bit adrift and away from it. 3 back in the site at this point. But in a trade of 1-for-1, they've pretty much done a full roam clear. Can this risk of the Billiards player pay off?
Yeah, well, that's the thing. It all comes down to Skies. If he's going to get caught out, I mean, he's a dead man, because you've got a Deimos. He can't really go anywhere back to site. It's being covered, as you can see, by Robbie in the staircase. If he goes back to strip, like I said, it's the Deimos he's going to get you at some point. So, yeah, for Skies, that's who the pressure is on. I believe he has been droned out. He will challenge that angle onto Robbie, but again, he cannot go anywhere. He has to go back in the strip, and you just know that that Deimos track is going to be incoming. So, for Gen.G, are they going to maybe send men up to help him? I don't know, but for BDS, like you mentioned, they've pretty much cleared the map without actually having to clear the map. They dragged the attention away, they made them panic, Lasmo, if you just dropped in the site you have with P4, they're going to go for a full send.
Okay. Not how we sort of expected that one to play out. I think BDS, I'm not going to say they panicked in a way. They felt they had an opportunity. They know they had one player loose. I think they sort of ran the numbers of like, okay, well, then there's only this many on site. We could try and put the pressure in. I don't know if the Deimos heard somebody on main stairs underneath him. Probably did. And then went, oh no, there's definitely only 2 on the site. We could hit this. But because the Deimos rotated off, that was the hold on those 2 back-end players. And then someone swing up the hatch. It was a great response from those remaining Gen.G players. And it's the first, but there's just too much trust, I think, in information that, by my idea, is probably outdated. They get 1. Hey, if this was the other way around, it could be a 1-0 right now.
I'm very shocked that they didn't go for Skies. Because I just feel as though Skies was just a sitting duck. Caught over towards kind of full table strip side against the Deimos.
10 seconds left.
I always feel like that's a kill. And whenever they could have went for the hunt, it was what, around 1 minute 30 mark? If they get that kill, let's say within 30 seconds, that's still a minute to execute
Objective is to
in a
locate a bomb
4v3,
and
which is
defuse it.
very doable in that bomb site because you've got the 2 picks beforehand. So, I don't know. It's a weird approach there for BDS to full send, but as you can see, you make one mistake. You didn't check that there's a guy inside of Armory, and you're going to get punished because of that. Because again, still, a team like Gen.G, as bad as what they have played here today, still, if you give them an opportunity and you make a mistake, they'll still punish you. They're still at that level of a team that we have seen the whole stage where they are still a good team, even though today has not been a very good representation of that.
Oh, entirely. The reason someone gets frustrated watching a team or someone gets sort of questions about watching a team is often because you're comparing them to what they're capable of, right? You're comparing them to what you know of them, especially at this level. And you can have creative criticism, you can sort of pull parts, and you can have questions. That's our job. And probably the job of everybody in whatever chat you're watching this on. But in the same sort of breath, there's always that capabilities, and when they do start to show it, you're like, yes, this is what we've been waiting for. And they're pulling themselves in, putting the pressure. Bit of a butchery here, Lasmo, of some Maverick. Wanted to try and trick it. It's missed bottom right, I think it is. There it is. And now they can get that wall opened up. If they can get on the roof. But work done. Look at the 4C4 play that they want to go for here.
Also a really big heavy extension as well over towards rafters and into construction, of course. And for BDS, they're not really interested in that. They're just trying to open up as much as they can, and then I'm guessing drone it out and see really, what's on. What can they go for the execute. Look at P4 though. P4's in the main stairs. There's nothing here. No barbed wire, no beepers, no nothing. This could be the play.
I mean, how has he got here? They're trying to bait them to swing out on towards Jacuzzi. They want to see if they can try and put the pressure there. They've got the Grimbies on that player in the small box, so they move up. The cam's off as well. Oh, he can't get it!
Oh.
Oh, what a mess! That could have defined the entire map and won the series. And for all the heraldry we give it that gun, oh, we almost get an immediate response. Robbie's retaken the ground, but they're not going to let you walk up as free as they did last time. You might still try. It's a Warden. As the glass is active and is more than ready for it, but with Robbie's health, he cannot take an extended fight alone, or he's just putting another body on towards the pyre. Here, Azok's huge opportunity. Ready to go for the swing out. Gets the first. Nako has the second, but Lasmo gets one back, and now it's a 1 versus 3. Either side in a tight situation. Gen.G, they get a second, but it could have been hinged on that single first engagement.
Yeah, definitely. P4. A master craftsman whenever it comes to backstabs. Everyone knows that. He's the king whenever it comes to that. But he's just whiffed it. Simple as that. He's missed his shots. Yeah, it would have been a great opener for BDS. It would have put him in a very aggressive position where if he kills that guy in bedroom, you're almost then unleashing the horde to flood in through the windows at that stage. He even could have went for one and challenged the guy inside a vault too. Good options there for him, but yeah, just he missed that opportunity. You're gonna get punished, like I said, Gen.G. You give them that opportunity.
It being the first hit that hit Nako, and then they missed all the others. I think he just turned on Matrix mode. Just leant over, started wiggling the arms around, dodging all the bullets.
Bomb located by attackers.
You can stop worrying about grenades
6-2.
now.
Divide of 4 rounds.
Deploying ADS.
Infinitely less terrifying than a
10
divide of
seconds to
6,
go.
but everything still has to be perfect, and that is the worry. We can look at that
5
opening
seconds to
engagement and be like, that could have defined the round. We can look at deciding to hunt skies and be like, that could have defined the round. We have to do that, as Gen.G do, for every single interaction throughout this. They cannot have something be pulled away from them. As now they go on to what is that touch and go site. And the same way we posed these questions, Demo, in the first half, of if this one goes away, you assume a timeout. You assume time to talk. If Gen.G, without taking their timeout at all, somehow, you know, cause and beacon BDS to use theirs, which gives Gen.G a timeout, I mean, credit to them for sticking with the mental game. But we'll see if we can get there first.
Changing mags.
Always opening up as many options as possible, not quite leaning to the immediacy of the firefight. They'll just quickly get all their options and routes ready, and then try and find the engagements.
Well, BDS, don't let it happen, because this would make the newspaper if this was to happen. I'll tell you that for free. So again, for BDS, it's just that one round, but hey, easier said than done. Obviously, it's going to be the Atwalk execute, the Monty coming in, Capital at the ready. So let's hope it's going to be a good execute here, and Skies is going to get cooked alive, but never mind, it's just going to be the Monty who walks up with Skies and his back turned to him. And that is as good as a clear as you will get today. So the Monty working out well, gives him that pushing power. Combo that with the rest of the operators. Yeah, great job from BDS, and this sets them up nicely. Really, at this stage, Emmy, all they have to do is their basics. Now, that is a big kill. Deadshot stepping up to the mark, takes down Fred, takes down the Capital, and now it is going to be an even game. And really, Deadshot needs to be dealt with. He could have a C4 from below.
Well, that's it. So they've just driven themselves in. The Monty!
Wow.
Ju decided he's sick of waiting around. They've ran themselves into the fight. There's suddenly only 2 players left. Deadshot and Asa holding on, but the site is currently blue and BDS is. Asa finds one, but it's a post-plant with a Monty. And Deadshot's quite hurt and is ready to play pretend as a door. Oh no, that cuts a big route off, and that leaves just Asa left against a Monty. Oh, this is like watching something die over a long, sad period of time. 20 seconds, and what do? You knew as soon as it was planted, you can't make the rotate round in 40 seconds. Virtue's just being a problem. It's being called GG from either side at this point. And there, with it decided, BDS! They get themselves a quad kill. But it means nothing. BDS, they progress along our upper bracket. And Demo, Gen.G fall to the lower.